There's a certain sundress pattern that I really love. I've already made 5 and I've got 3 more to share. Lots of little tricks down the way, extra things and small changes. Today's going to be a fun one, lots of makes to see. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from knittingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and today I have a lot of makes that are brand new. I've sewn them this week and I've really enjoyed them. They are projects I had on my mind for quite a while and I'm super happy they have become reality. And what I've done this week is make a whole bunch of new tempo dresses. Well, actually only one's a dress, the other ones are not dresses, but I've used the pattern. The tempo is a sundress from Love Notions made for woven fabrics. It's got really nice wide strap over here, a V neckline, lots of nice coverage under here around the arm. You pull it on over your head, no zipper. The reason you're able to do that if it's a woven style is because at the back you have a panel made out of shirring. So you can shirr it yourself or you can buy pre-shirred fabric. And you see that I've done a little hack. Sometimes I use a sneaky knit panel instead so that I can still pull it on over my head. This bodice hits the waist and then you have a gathered skirt. You can sew one and then it will be at the knee or add a second T if you want a longer version. You have inseam pockets. I've only sewn those with one of my versions. And in the past, I have already made 5 for myself. Now I've got 3 more, makes 8. The tempo is the Feature Friday pattern for today and it'll be over 50% off. I think it's great value. It's a really nice dress that everyone can wear. You don't have to worry about having a special bra. You can wear your favorite comfy bra and put on your dress and you'll be absolutely fine. You'll also find my affiliate link on the top comment pinned. And in the description box, if you want to grab this pattern, when you use my affiliate link, you don't pay anything extra. It's just that I receive a small commission back from Tammy, from the designer. It's one of the ways I make an income creating helpful sewing content here on YouTube. As we go along, it'll be quite interactive here. I'm going to show you a lot of practical sewing things, hacks, and also all the versions that I've made. The first one I made as per the design. It's one of my favorite dresses. The fabric is so unique. It's a large scale print. This is the first tempo dress I made in 2021. It's 100% rayon. It's a really interesting print. This is a self-lined bodice. It has the shirt panel on the back. And this is the only version that has pockets. I went the extra mile and did inseam pockets that have French seams on the inside. It's super neat. I have a tutorial about that. And this is a lovely dress. I love the colors and the pattern placement is really interesting here. It took me a while to cut this out because of the large scale print. And I'm very happy. The cover on the neckline is amazing. And this is a dress I've worn so many times. I've really enjoyed it. Here's one version with a topper. This is a red little topper. It's short. It's got dolman sleeves, not much detail on the neckline. So it still highlights the dress underneath. And it's shorter, so it doesn't interfere with the slight gathering at the bodice. With this type of dress, I wouldn't want to wear a longer jacket or a longer blazer. I think it wouldn't look that nice, that balance. So I really like the combination here. The second one continues with the original features, except I've added a fake button placket down the center. The reason it's fake, because it's a fitted bodice. If I added a real button placket on something fitted like this, I would have problems with gape. Maybe I'd have to put 20,000 buttons. So I decided I wanted the look, but without fuss. So that was a really easy hack. I want to add some to the center front because I want to create a fake button band or a fake placket that will be basically a center front pleat. I have these buttons that are nice and big. I think they'll stand out with the print that I'm using. These have a 3/4 inch diameter. So I want my placket to be a little bigger than that. I think 1¼ inches would be good. So all I'm going to do from the center front here of the bodice is measure out 1¼ inches. So I'll just draw this line here. Basically, this will be my new on the fold line right there. I've marked the center front darker. Hopefully you can see it. And this is where the neckline starts. That's where the V is. And this is where I've added 1¼ inches, which is what I want my finished band to be on the center front. So what I'm going to do now is fold this edge of the paper up to that line, basically folding this button band fake thing that I'm doing in half right there. Now I'm going to fold it again, following the line right here. And now I'm going to trim away at this neckline right here. And that's how the piece is going to look. When I cut it on the fold there, it's going to have that little shape. It does need to have it so that it matches this on the top. I'm cutting my front skirt, and instead of altering the pattern piece, you really don't need to. All you need to do is place the edge away from the fold by 1¼ inches, and you know you're going to sew a seam right there on the edge at 1¼ inch. After cutting my skirt, I got a friction pen and drew a really straight line along the edge of the paper. So if I pull this away, I have a little red line there, and that's going to help me sew this seam really neatly before taking the paper off. So I'm going to put a few pins on this line right now so nothing moves, and then I can just go ahead and sew that seam. This is how this one looks on the top. Remember, my pattern piece had a funny shape there. This was my pattern piece that I cut out there, but I cut it on the fold. That's why you have all that little zigzag going on there, but it's going to make perfect sense. Now let me fold this bodice with the fabric right sides up. Just fold it in half like this, making sure to match up that little mountain there on the top. That's the fold there. Now I'm going to take this bodice piece. I'm going to align this here right there along the fold, and I'm going to fold that away right there. And the same as I did with the skirt piece, I'm just going to draw a red line here with my friction pen. I know these come out with the iron, so I'm quite confident to scribble on this. In any case, this area of the bodice will be hidden. I'm going to take this, and I have a line very straight going all the way down, and I'm going to pin it straight away. And this is where I'm going to sew the little pleat excess on the front. You can see that when I press this, I have that shape through perfectly to the V that we're going to have there. Good. And I've pressed my pleat to both sides. Here on the hem, you can see what's going on there. The seam I've done. The volume has been pressed half and half to each side, and that's all the way up. Super neat. On the wrong side, it just looks like there's a regular seam there. Front of the bodice, where I also have the exact same thing. It's all being pressed. It's so neat, so neat. I'm only going to edge stitch this side so it looks more realistic, like it is a placket. So I will just edge stitch that down, leave this loose like a placket would, and then sew on my buttons. So that's how it looks. I think it looks really realistic, like it really is a button band, but without the fuss, without the gaping, and this is just so easy. This is the second dress I made. This is a crepe. It's a polyester fabric, super lightweight, and I really enjoyed this one as well. I like the colors. This is the one that has the fake button placket on the front. I think it's a really nice addition. The buttons are beige. I just chose one of the colors there, but looking back, I think that red would stand out more. But yeah, this is very nice. The button placket is fake. It was super easy to do. Nothing's going to gape, but you still get that cool look of having a placket there. This bodice is also self-lined, and I have the shirt panel at the back. As a topper, I've brought out a shorter linen jacket. Same concept. I don't want to wear long things with these types of dresses because the skirt is flowy and has more volume. So I think this linen top goes perfectly underneath, matches the background of the dress, and I really like this when you need a light layer. Now, these two dresses are fully lined. The reason I make these fully lined is because I'm using really lightweight rayon or the really lightweight crepe for the navy. And I don't think that looks really good in a single layer with the facing finish. I think that facing finish is great for cottons and linens, and fabrics have a little bit more body to them. So that's why I do them fully lined. The third dress that I'm going to show you is a brand new one. I made this one just a few days ago, and I'm on the Love Notions YouTube channel today for the Feature Friday, showing you how to line this dress in detail. You'll see how to do it. I think it's a really nice step that you can take if you want to keep the skirt flowing and use a really soft, light fabric. It's really easy to line the bodice. It's not much different to sewing the facings. There's just a few differences here. And for the tutorial over on the Love Notions channel, so it's easy to see, I've used white rayon on the inside, so you can really see what I'm doing. But it's so well done. When I wear the dress, you'll never know. Let me show you how this looks like on the inside. Everything's super clean on the inside. The seams are enclosed. You don't need to serge the edges here. And we don't have facings. We just have the lining. It's just that all of this is reinforced with interfacing. So hop over to the Love Notions channel, check out my smiling friendly face over there. This is a brand new dress I made for this feature Friday. You can see all about this dress on the Love Notions YouTube channel. I made a video for them there showing you how to line this bodice. It's a lightweight rayon, so I thought lining the bodice was going to be appropriate. I also show how to create that neat panel on the back, and this is lovely. It's a rayon with some birds in there that are difficult to see. In essence, it's a nice black and white print that I really love. On the inside, the lining is white, but you can't see it, and it feels amazing on. The neckline, the V neckline, is beautiful. You know, it's got great coverage. I did keep the side bust darts that are the original design here, and there is my heavy knit on the back. Lovely, covers my bra strap beautifully, and the bust dart was already fitted to me, so I'm very happy with that, and it's so pretty. Absolutely love it. Because this is a black and white dress, I can choose many of my jackets, little short jackets and toppers that I have available in any color. It's gonna work, so I'm really happy about that. I brought out the same topper that you saw before in red linen. Looks really nice, red little shoes. This is adorable. This is a color combination I always choose and go for because it suits me and I love it. I feel amazing in red and black and white, so this is a dream outfit for me and I really love it. Here I'm dressing it down, keeping it casual with some sneakers. I think it looks adorable. This is a jacket that is meant to be sewn with denim, but I made it linen instead, keeping it nice and casual. I really like this one, although it's a bit longer. It's a jacket that has quite a lot of shaping in there. It's not boxy, so I think it goes well with the dress as well. Love that magenta color. I'm going to show you some Peplum tops that I've made using the pattern, which have turned out amazing. The first top of these types that I made was in 2022, and back then I decided to create princess seams because I was making this from a leftover I had from making a skirt many years ago. I had this and I knew I could get a set, so the only way I could get my pattern piece was to do the princess seams. When you have an extended front with the bust darts, it's a wider piece, harder to place on fabric. If you have random offcuts from the side and things, it's easier to get a little princess seam here with a center front. So that's why I decided to convert that bust dart there into a princess seam. Now, the first thing you need to do if you want to try this is make sure your bodice already fits you well, that bust dart is correctly placed. So once I knew it was all good, I've sewn a few dresses, they all fit, then I was happy to go and transform that into a princess seam that I've continued to use. So let's see how to make this a princess seam front. It looks really pretty. I love princess seams. It's a sundress cut on the fold right there. This would have thick straps coming there. Those are the marks where the straps will be set in there. The original pattern is finished with a facing up here, and there's only one bust dart. I also want to transform this into a princess seam. I think it's a pretty style and I've made dresses like that before. What I'll do for this one is draw a line in the middle of this bust dart again, going through that tip and just extending that line maybe for about 1.5 inches. That is probably where my apex is. Again, this is a dress I've already made. This bodice fits me already. Everything's perfect. The length of the bodice, the position of the dart, everything is correct. So that's what I'm using to make modifications. I don't have a waist dart here as reference, but I just extended it from the tip to about 1.5 inches, which is usually how I make my darts be away from the apex. So let's say this is my apex right here. And now I'm just going to draw a line. I have my cutting mat underneath, which is super helpful. I'm guiding myself with the lines underneath. So I'm going to draw a line there. So there's two options. You can either make your line go up to the middle of where the straps are going to be. I think that's nice. Although it can add an extra seam allowance in there, it could get bulky. Or you can curve your line to about the half point of this armhole area right here. It's only a partial armhole. Remember, this is a sundress. There are straps right there. So for this one, I'm going to choose the midpoint here of the armhole. So just draw a line right there. I like to freehand this also. So that is going to be my curve right there. So I'm just going to extend these dart legs up to the apex point or the pivot point right there so I can close this dart neatly. I'm going to cut along the top dart leg up to the pivot point and then this curve also. Before I close this dart, I'm just going to match some reference points right here. Now I'm going to close the dart, just bring the top dart leg towards the bottom dart leg. and close it. Keeping my pattern like this, I'm going to draw my grain line for the side piece, which is parallel to this line and parallel to the center fold. And now I'm just going to cut straight through the bottom. There's no dot there, and you can see it's a little pointy right there, so I'm just going to round that out. Just do this with your scissors, take about 1/8 of an inch off, and that'll make it nice and round. And now this is going to be my new bodice. Side front, center front. The notches are going to match. I'm going to draw these again on another paper and add seam allowance here, add seam allowance there. When I sew my dress, I'm still going to use the same original facing. The fit here on the top hasn't changed. So if I get my facing piece, it's still going to fit here. It's still going to be the same type of facing. You don't need to change the facing at all. So that's it. You can see the fit is straight here because there's no waist dart. But then this dart went up to here in this area, and we're going to have that beautiful curve with that dart hidden in this princess seam. This is the first time I made a peplum top in 2022. I really like it with a thin lee skirt I made a few weeks ago in denim. I think it looks really adorable. The peplum is about 6.5 inches long. For this one, I have a little change. I have a princess seam instead of the side bust dart, and that's because I was working with scraps and it was just easier to cut that way. This one is not lined. This one is just finished with the facing inside as per the original pattern, and I have the shirt panel on the back. It's a really lovely top. Now you're going to see the skirt I made first and where the leftover came from. And it's this gorgeous A-line wrap skirt that I made in 2019. So a couple years before making the peplum top, I knew that they were going to go together. I have actually worn this together once, and it's really nice. It looks like a set type of thing, but not the traditional type of set. Because the peplum is so short, I think it goes over this A-line skirt well. If the peplum was longer, I wouldn't be too happy. I think there would be too much volume, but I think this looks really cute and I really love it. The third dress I made is also fully lined on the bodice. It's just that this one is a maxi skirt. I didn't want to add a second tier. I prefer the look of a single skirt and just making it longer. So mine's about 40 inches long, which meant I had to add about 19 to 20 inches to the original skirt piece. I wanted a slit down the center, so I added 1 inch of seam allowance. So I didn't cut the front on the fold so I can do the slit here. So have a look at how that one looks, and you'll see that at the back there's something there. I made this maxi dress for my anniversary in 2023 when we turned 21 years with my husband. And it's really nice. The difference here is that I added about 20 inches to the length of the skirt. I added a center front seam to add a little split, and the bodice is self-lined. I've used the bodice that has the princess seams for this one because I had it on hand and I like how that looked. And I have a neat panel on the back, which is something new instead of the shirt piece. Allows that stretch so you can pull the dress on over your head. And this is how it looks like with a little crop jacket. This is an Aria shirt I made that I cropped later on, added elastic at the hem, and I think it looks nice and balanced, keeping my concept of having a shorter layer on the top when I wear a dress with more volume like this one. Really like it. This Aria shirt hack is one of my favorite hacks I've done. It's so pretty. I have the same type of hem detail that the summer key pants. I just replicated that on the sleeve, and I really love showing that off because I think it looks really gorgeous. You can see that at the back, I don't have the shirt panel like you saw with the other dresses. I have a neat panel. So let me show you the tiny change and how I achieve that, because it's not a shirt panel. You'll see how you can replace a shirt panel with a really heavy knit fabric at the back. Now that is a big asterisk here. You can't use any knit fabric or else it'll go floppy. So I would suggest a heavy cotton lycra with at least 10% spandex, or a really heavy athletic knit, same with at least 10% spandex, and it will be okay. This is a template that you use for the shirt panel at the back. So there's a larger piece of fabric that you shirr. Once you have that, you place that right there and you cut the shape that you need. That shirt panel needs to be hemmed on the top. For some of mine, I have replaced that shirt panel with a heavy knit. So that allows you to put the dress in and out. It really stretches. So this is a really heavy athletic knit, really good recovery. 14% lycra in here, 84% polyamide. So it's really good. Now the only difference I do with this one is I add 3/4 of an inch on the top so that I have that much to fold away on the top. Like that, it'll finish the top. Just fold it in by 3/4 of an inch and top stitch, and that's how the top of the shirt panel is going to be. From here onwards, we're going to have the bodice, the back bodice right here, and this in the center. Now you see that this dress also has a neat panel that I've shown you what I do to achieve the pattern piece. It's really easy and I loved adding it on. Now I would only add this if I had the right knit. If I didn't have the right knit, I would prefer to do the shirt panel at the back. Now the next peplum top you'll see is the one I made last year. This one is totally different because I've added sleeves. Originally when the pattern was released, it did not have sleeves, it was just a sundress. But Tammy created a sleeve. The way you sew it is completely different. It's just a whole different construction, and I've shown you how to sew that in last year's video. So let's have a peek at this special peplum top. I love it so much. This one, as you can see, is not a sundress. It's got sleeves. Again, it's a peplum top I made with leftover fabric, and it's really pretty. I love it over this asymmetric skirt that is fitted at the waist and hips. It looks really nice. So I've loved wearing this peplum top. It's really pretty. Again, I've got princess seams because I was making it from scraps and it was easier to cut that way. I chose to have sleeves instead of the shirt panel at the back. So I do have that neat panel on this version as well. Easy hack. And I have shown you how to sew these sleeves on in my channel. I have a video all about this top. It's lovely. And now you're going to see it worn as a set with the pair of pants I made first and where the scraps left over came from. This is one of my favorite sets ever. I used a Femme Rio dead stock fabric for this in a rayon linen blend. The print is just wow, you know. And I've used the Tinley shorts but lengthened them to full length as a hack. And I used the Tempo sundress but shortened it to be a peplum on the top. So I get a two-piece set here. It's beautiful. I've worn these as separates as well. Very nice waistband, the shorts. They're all the same features as the shorts. I just had to modify the width of the legs so I could go straight down. I didn't have to do any shirring and it's lovely. I'm so happy with this one. It's just so striking. The print is everything here. Now I'm going to show you two new tops that I made. Super excited about because it's made out of a neat fabric, which is the first time I've gone rogue. You know, this pattern is designed for woven fabric, but I think some knits would work. I'd say Ponte Roma would work. Athletic knit that's heavy, that's structured. A structured knit would work, I would say. I wouldn't want to make this with rayon spandex or something super light like double brush poly and ITY. I think the facing finish would end up floppy. The straps might stretch out, so I'd just be very careful with the type of knit that I choose. But I had this leftover piece from making a skirt the other day and I knew I could get a little peplum top. It is so, so pretty. Again, I use a princess seam that you can't see from here, but for the same reason that I mentioned before, it was the only way I could get my pattern pieces on the little bits I had. I used a knit panel at the back from the same athletic knit here, so that was really nice. Now there's a little difference with the peplum. As you can see, it doesn't have any gathers. I didn't want to have the gathers here because the fabric is so bulky, they would have looked really awful. For real, they would have looked horrendous in this fabric. So let me show you how I adjusted it to make it smaller and still get it to fit the waist. Easy peasy. This is the peplum piece I've been using. It's actually from the main skirt. It just goes longer, but this is the 6.5 inch length that I use. This is the center front right here, and you cut two for the front and the back. This is gathered onto the bodice, but for this version, I don't want that. I want it to be 1-to-1 with the waist because the fabric is not appropriate for gathers. So I took the width of my front bodice, including the sides and the hem allowance, measured that once I've sewn it and divided that in two because it's just half of my piece. And then I just measured from the side inwards. I want to take away from the center. So once I figured out the amount there, I marked it and then I folded away on the center front right here. So this is all the amount I'm taking away. And this is how I cut the peplum piece on the fold. Now, when I was cutting it, just to give myself a little bit more ease, because I know this is going to fit the waist, I just flared this out a little bit like that. About 5/8 of an inch extra like this. And that's how I cut two pieces. I would not make this adjustment on a woven. I don't think it would be comfortable. Or making it even longer because I know this being shorter is going to fit my high hip. This would not fit my full hip, taking away all of this amount. It's because I know it's a short peplum and this hits a high hip. I wouldn't do this adjustment if I wanted to make a dress, for example. I know this wouldn't fit my full hip by reducing it that much, but I knew it was going to fit the waist and the high hip. So I think it's possible to do this hack if you want to make a little short peplum top like this one. For this knit version, I'm still going to use facings and I'm still going to interface them. The only difference is I'm going to use tricot knit interfacing. You can see this type of interfacing is fusible, but it has stretch. So it's going to work much better for this neckline and allow some flexibility on the top of the bodice. You can see my facing pieces. I cut them larger than my actual facings and I'm at the iron fusing on this tricot knit interfacing. I find that knit fabrics react stronger to the glue of the interfacing and they shrink quite a lot more than woven. So I always do the block fusing. Here I have my pieces on the table and I'm going to cut them out. You can see the pieces are slightly larger than what I need. And this is going to ensure that my facing pieces are going to be the size they need to be. The fabric has already shrunk, reacting to the glue, so I'm not concerned about them being a different shape afterwards. You saw how I created these princess seams. That's what I have with this knit bodice. It was the only way to get these pieces from scraps, and I have these little lines there that I marked on the pattern, so it helps me line it up. I'm just going to pin that together, lining up all those reference marks. Here I have my front bodice all pinned, ready to be sewn. I'm going to do this directly on the serger because I'm sewing with a knit here on a curve. I think it's going to be easy. I'm trimming away about 1/8 of an inch to keep the 3/8 seam allowance from this pattern accurate. If I was sewing a princess seam with a woven, I wouldn't sew it just on the serger. I would sew it on the sewing machine and then clean up the edges with the serger. But for a knit, I think it's okay. For this one, it's going to be fine. This is how it looks like on the other side. I'm going to press the seams towards the center and it's going to look super neat. I'm going to continue sewing this as normal. With this fabric, because it's so heavy and structured, I'm going to treat it like a woven basically. And to sew these side seams, I'm going to use my sewing machine. I'm going to use a narrow zigzag and I have already serged these edges so I can press them open. It looks much flatter if you use your sewing machine. So don't discount your sewing machine when you're working with knits, especially if it's a heavy one like this one. It can look nicer. I could in essence have sewn this on the serger like I did the princess seam, but I thought this was going to be better for this bodice. I didn't have enough to cut the facings, but I had enough of another athletic knit here. You saw that I interfaced that just the same, and that's how it looks like on the inside. There's my little peplum, all the seams pressed open. I treat it like a woven because it's such a heavy fabric and it's so structured. And there are the princess seams that fit super well. Here is my new tempo peplum top made in a knit. It's super gorgeous. I've got it paired with my white denim skirt again. I think it looks really nice with the sneakers. The fit is really nice on this top. I didn't make any changes to the fit. The only change I made was to use my princess seam bodice for this one, and I changed the peplum to not have gathers. I made it smaller just to fit the waist and my high hip there. Because it's a heavy knit, the gathers would have looked awful. There are the princess seams. I've got the same facing finish on the inside and I have a knit panel on the center back, no shirring here. And it just feels super nice and comfortable. The fabric is heavy, it's structured. It was almost like sewing a woven. It's not a woven and it's really pretty. Now this was a leftover from making a skirt a couple of days ago. I had the print on my mind, I loved it so much and I'm so happy this peplum top worked out and the fabric was just enough. There was barely anything left over. Here's my little top paired with the skirt I made the other day where the leftover fabric came from, and I think it looks gorgeous as a set. You can obviously tell it's not a dress because of the peplum there, and I love it. The skirt is nice and fitted at the waist and hip, so it doesn't create the volume on the top. The volume of the skirt is all at the bottom. I love the style that has the bodice hitting the waist. It highlights the waist with a little peplum there that's not gathered. I think it's gorgeous and I can't wait to wear this set. I'm gonna feel amazing because just filming this, I feel really glam. Another way to wear this on a day-to-day basis and being super comfortable is with a wide leg set of pants. Super nice. Swap this for a wider maxi skirt, I think would work as well. Although the peplum isn't extremely short, it's not interfering with the volume there of the waist of the skirts and the leg because it's got a bodice seam, so this is really nice and fresh. And I can't wait to wear this when it gets hot in a couple more months' time. And a few weeks ago, I went ahead and made 3 Tinley skirts. Tinley is a bottoms pattern from Love Notions that could be either shorts or skirt. The skirt has an A-line shape with pockets, a flat front, elasticated back waistband, and I made a gorgeous skirt in a printed linen. Let me show you here how that looks, and I promised by the end of the month I was going to have a matching top. And here I am to fulfill my promise I made to myself and to you. I love it so much. It's the same look as the one that I made with the beige and black fabric. It's got the beautiful, beautiful sleeves. So nice. The straps right there, neckline. Now this one has all the shirring. I took my sweet time to do the shirring. I'd say this is what took the longest because I do the panel double. So I make it twice as tall so that I could fold it onto itself, so that I get fabric here and fabric there, and then the elastic thread is all hidden on the inside and I don't have to touch it with my skin. I'm a bit sensitive with that elastic thread. It starts rubbing on my skin. I've had that experience before. So I'm really careful, and that works out really well. Same little peplum as always. I made it gathered as per the original design. I didn't do it like the knit version because this fabric is okay. This is a linen rayon blend. It can take the gathers quite well. And it turned out so beautiful. This is how it looks like on the inside with the facing under the armholes as well. And the back shirt panel with a little peplum is just so, so, so adorable. I love how it turned out. It is my brand new peplum top. It has sleeves, it's gorgeous. It's got the same little peplum, 6.5 inches. And I've paired it with the Tinley skirt I made the other day. The Tinley skirt is an A-line skirt. I think both silhouettes go perfectly together. I think this style suits me. And it's better than wearing a dress sometimes if you wear separates. So much more versatile. There's no pockets on that skirt, so I could have enough fabric to make the top, and I'm glad I opted out of the pockets because the fabric was just enough. I do have the shirt panel here, finished with the facings inside, super lovely, and I have a sleeve add-on that was added last year. Super nice. Absolutely love this one. This one does have the side bust-out as per the original pattern, and my double shirt panel on the back. This top also looks super cute with a white denim skirt. This is a glissando skirt, a refashion I made a couple of years ago, and I think it looks really nice, really summery, really light, and really comfortable. These are my glissando pants. They're cropped, they're made out of the print on the top has brown, so obviously this goes together well. I could swap these glissando pants for a glissando skirt that I made in the exact same fabric, so that would be another alternative. And I think this looks really pretty. The only colors I would want to match here are white and brown. Matching a pink on the bottom would be too much. I've also made little girl versions because there's also one from sizes 2 to 16. I made 3 of these for my nieces. I've shown this video in January, the gifts I made for my family. And I made the same little dresses. I made them with a neat panel at the back because I was batch sewing them in like one day. I just made one skirt layer because they're quite active. They don't do well with longer dresses. And I made those bodices lined as well because it's a lightweight rayon fabric. Little girls don't wear undergarments, they don't wear a bra yet, so I wanted to make sure that they were going to be fully covered, nothing to be seen there through the fabric. So I really enjoyed making those, and the technique I used to line my dresses is the same technique I used to line theirs, exactly the same, just tiny. I even interfaced the top part, super beautiful. And the little girls pattern is on sale as well for the Feature Friday, so if you have little girls around, it turns out adorable, you can get it for them. So it turns out I've made 8 for me and 3 for my nieces. I've made this pattern 11 times. I love it. I won't stop making it. These are amazing. I'm gonna love this black and white dress. I love black and white things because they're just so versatile, easy to style with any color. This one is a dream come true. I really wanted to make it. It's one of my favorite prints ever. Super comfortable, and it looks the same even though it's a knit. I think you can get away with it. And this one's just so bright, and yeah, it's tropical, it's lovely, it's got me all over it, and I'm so happy with it. Really enjoyed sewing my tempos this week. If you haven't got this pattern, you're missing out. It's lovely. If you have the pattern and haven't sewn it up, I hope I got you inspired. Remember, I have tons and tons of content around this one. All the information is linked down below. Plus hop over to the Love Notions channel. That's all from me. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you back over here at Lifting Pins and Needles next week. Bye.